Well, I always felt, even before I came to the Chiefs, the Raiders and their arrogance were something that irritated the Chiefs early on. But I can tell you without question, it irritated Marty Schottenheimer.
That was the team to beat within our division. You put that big red dot on that team from that point forward to go, I don't care what it is, that's the team you're going to beat.
The Raiders were good. They were a good football team, so it meant something when you beat them, and the Chiefs did it regularly.
10 out of 11 times Schottenheimer has beaten the Los Angeles Raiders.
When Marty Schottenheimer got here, it was unbelievable, the domination. It never happened, ever, that one team so dominated the Raiders.
I always asked him for 10 years, what did the Raiders or Al Davis do that upset you so greatly?
All Marty ever said to me was, I don't like people that think they're above the law.
Yep, Smith taking on tacklers. Robinson got him, but it's going to be close to a first down. Now a fight starts up. We've got Chiefs and Raiders going full tilt.
For Marty, it became a crusade.
We'll wear them down. Let's go. Let's wear them out.
He knew it was extremely important to Lamar, that history, that series, and therefore it became extremely important to him. And it showed.
He's got a touchdown! 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 Kansas City! Monday night, Kansas City Magic has struck again!
Well, everybody, your Kansas City Chiefs just got a dub over the Las Vegas Raiders in a close one. Chiefs win it 30-29. A lot to go over. Bad refereeing and an overall crazy game from the Las Vegas Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to break down every moment here on the TPT podcast.
65 toss power trap. That might pop wide open, Reds.
Well, everybody, the Kansas City Chiefs get it done at home versus their great division rival, the Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders, I will give it to the Las Vegas Raiders for coming out, having a great game plan, and coming out firing. I mean, the Las Vegas Raiders were saying, we are sick of being your little brother. We know we got killed last year. They came out with some smash mouth, old school 80s, 90s, and early 2000s football of pounding the ball with Josh Jacobs, having an overall great game from Josh Jacobs and their offensive line. I was pretty impressed. I thought their offensive line would be a lot worse than what it was last year. It was really, really bad last year. I thought it would be worse than it was this year, but it played really well in today's game. They were smash-mouthing that Chiefs defense. So the Raiders' offensive line actually came out really well, but a back-and-forth game. Chiefs were down 17-0 and ended up climbing back to win it 30-29. We had a bunch of players on offense making plays. We had Hardman, MVS started to come along. We're going to talk about him later on, but a lot of guys just making plays for the Chiefs front. So we got a lot to get into. And the first thing we're going to talk about, and yes, we have to talk about it, the roughing the passer. All right, well, we all saw the play. We all saw the play on Monday night. We all saw the play that happened with Tom Brady on Sunday. The NFL has to get this right. And I'm curious your guys' suggestions. So comment below what your guys' suggestions would be. I'm curious to see what your guys' suggestions are. But that roughing the passer call was absolutely atrocious. And I am sick and tired of refs being able to make bad calls and there's no repercussions. There's no discipline. Nothing can happen to these refs when they make horrible calls like that. They don't get fired. They don't get fined. They don't get sit out games. Yeah, if you have a bad enough calls over the course of the season, you can't, go to the Super Bowl and ref a game, or you can't ref in a certain playoffs games. That's not enough. These refs need to be held accountable. That was one of the worst calls I've ever seen in my life. One, he didn't have the ball. You're not passing. It can't be roughing the passer if you don't have the ball. And we heard the official, I can't remember his name. He doesn't even deserve his name being uttered on this podcast. Say, oh, well, he was in a passing position, so we have to protect the passer because Chris Jones landed on him. What are defenders supposed to do tackling the quarterback? Do we have to put flags on quarterbacks now? Because this is, quite honestly, ridiculous. And I don't want to go too much on this because we do have to talk about the game. But this has to get right. If there has to be a skyline judge to radio down with an earpiece and look at it, boom, just like that, because we can determine within a 10-second replay on television that it was clearly not roughing the passer. So there has to be new protocol going forward, a review, a coach's challenge, not necessarily a review because that would take too long, but a coach's challenge that they can challenge. Because you can challenge helmet to helmet in college. They review that in college, not necessarily challenge, but you can review that in college to see if a player's getting ejected. You should be able to review roughing the passer. Ridiculous call. Clearly he fumbled it. Chris Jones planted his other right arm or left arm, whatever one it was, don't really care. What do you suppose? He's 300 pounds. He can't stop his weight going that way. An absolute egregious, just horrible call from that broadcasting refereeing. Even the broadcasting, they weren't ripping the refs apart. Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. Rip that ref apart. He deserves it. Speak your mind. That was a terrible call. And there has to be repercussions for NFL refs. We're going to move on from this, but I just had to sit here for a couple of minutes and talk about how bad that refereeing was last night. And yes, there was some makeup calls for the Kansas City Chiefs after that call. But it's got to be better reffing. College reffing, I will say, is a little bit better. Got to be better reffing. Got to be discipline for these bad reffing. Stop rewarding bad offense and bad play. It is ridiculous. All right, now to get into the game and some takeaways from the game. So the first thing I want to talk about is some of the play calling on short yardage. I'm not liking from Andy Reid and from Bieniemy, and even if we want to throw in Nagy in there, but some of these play calling early in the game I thought was just bad. The Chiefs started out 17-0. Just poor play calling at times from the Kansas City Chiefs. Wasn't terrible, but overall this season, it's been good play calling. A lot of my other Chiefs buddies I know want to talk about how there's bad play calling from Andy Reid, or they want to blame Eric Bieniemy for some reason, even though he doesn't call the plays. It's Andy Reid. So that's besides the point. But yeah, I didn't like some of the play calling that's been going on for the Chiefs in short yardage. Sometimes I even think in the red zone, I've said this in my previous videos, line up, play football. No more trick plays, no more flicking the ball to Kelsey. They know 9 out of 10 times that's coming. So enough with the cute crap, line up, play football, and get better on short downage. And the guy I got to start talking about, and moving on to some of the players, is the man, the myth, the legend, Travis freaking Kelce. Travis Kelce, whatever we want to call him. He may be the greatest tight end of all time. Outside of Tony Gonzalez, I think he surpassed Gronk. He already surpassed Gronk in yards. 4 touchdowns, most touchdowns by a tight end in Monday Night history. And they know it's coming. That's the crazy thing about Travis Kelce is the defenders know they can't let anyone catch the ball in the red zone, but they still let him have 4 touchdowns. Travis Kelce, absolutely phenomenal game. We'll see later on if Travis Kelce gets my game ball. Spoiler alert, he probably will. Because Travis freaking Kelce, that should be his middle name, Travis freaking Kelce, played a phenomenal game. And he's 33, just turned 33, and he's still going. still playing phenomenal football. Yeah, there's other guys got to step up, and we'll talk more about the wide receivers. We'll talk about them a lot here coming up. The running backs still looked good. Had no problem with the running backs. Clyde, yeah, sometimes he doesn't hit the hole fast enough for my liking, but Clyde played well. Jerick McKinnon, well. We didn't see a lot of Pacheco, but the running backs have just played well overall. I'd like to see him get the ball more in short downage, but the running backs have played well. But Travis Kelce, going back to Kelce, because he should be talked about a lot. And I see in the media, George Kittle, Andrews. Yeah, those are great guys. I like Andrews. I'm an Oklahoma guy. But Travis Kelce is the best tight end in the league, and we should not be sitting here debating that. Year in and year out, Travis Kelce doesn't block. They don't need him to block. That's what Blake Bell's for. And he does make crucial blocks when he absolutely has to. That's what Blake Bell's for. That's what we play our offensive line for. But Travis Kelce, what do we play him for? To go catch the ball and get 4 touchdowns in a game. I hope Travis Kelce sees this. I know he probably won't, but I hope you do see this, Travis. And I want you to know, you're the man. Zeus. I feel like Chiefs Kingdom doesn't call him Zeus as much, but Zeus, that's his nickname, and he's a baller. TK87 is the man. So an absolute phenomenal game by Travis Kelce. And another player we got to talk about because he finally made me shut up. And I hope he sees this. Is MVS had himself a game and was clutch when needed to be. He didn't have a touchdown, nothing like that. Clutch when needed to be. He had a drop. Yes, that's MVS, guys. He's going to drop the ball. But MVS, you were there when you needed to be. I'll give you a pat on the back. I'll shut up now. You're starting to come along. Juju, I'm fine with the Juju. Juju's playing. Yeah, he hasn't got a touchdown, but Juju's playing, man. Juju's out there working. Hardman had a good game. Hardman, yeah, he runs a little gingerly, and he, sometimes he takes plays off. I don't know if he's injured or not. I don't know. But Hardman had himself a game. I thought Sky Moore came in there, had 3 or 4 catches. So I thought Sky Moore played well. But yeah, Juju played great, and MVS was out there catching passes. And, he didn't have a touchdown because the only guy that had a touchdown was Travis Kelce. But he was out there playing good football. That's what we need. The Chiefs did not play a fluid game. But let me say this for everyone, who's kind of, I was hearing on the radio today, shout out 810. I was hearing this on Seren Petro, and I was hearing this on The Zone. That, if we play like this, we're going to lose 50 to the Buffalo Bills. No. The Chiefs, yeah, they probably came out a little bit slow versus the Raiders. They know they dominate the Raiders. But the Raiders it's a rivalry. It's a rivalry game. We're going to talk more about this rivalry because it's the Raiders. But it's a rivalry game, guys. Expect that. Expect the Raiders have some playmakers. They just have played bad so far this season. They just haven't put it together. They got Davante Adams, who shoved the fan, which we're going to talk about here in a second. Or not a fan, excuse me. Shoved a worker. Disgusting. And I'm glad that guy's pressing charges. Davante Adams is probably a great dude. I'm not going to come after Davante Adams' character, but you can't do that. You cannot do that. But they got Davante out there, who's the best wide receiver in football, had himself a game. Yeah, Waller got hurt in the middle of the game, but they were up 17 points. That's no excuse for Raiders fans. I've seen a lot of you Raiders fans. I've seen it, yep. I've seen it. Making excuses, talking about the refs. The refs are bad overall. Let's be honest. The refs are just bad. That was bad, and they should be disciplined for it. But Raiders, you had every opportunity to stomp on our throat and kill us, and you couldn't do it. You could not do it. Because the Chiefs are a team, when in doubt, they rise to the occasions. That's Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to even get too much into Patrick Mahomes because Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the National Football League. Every time he's down 10, 17, 21, He shrugged. He puts on his shoulder pads, straightens his shoulder pads out. And he says, "Let's go, boys." And he goes out there and he plays great football. Because Patrick Mahomes, he's a generational type talent. And when things are grim, he becomes the Grim Reaper. He is that guy. And the Chiefs, they got a tough task with the Bills coming up. And we will have a good video about that on Friday. We may have a co-host here on Friday talking about that game. Because it's going to be a good one, folks. Josh Allen's going to come with his best. Patrick Mahomes is going to come with his best. It's going to be a good one. And going back, one thing I wanted to talk about, we're going to transition into a NFL legend, a legend as a just human being in general, an awesome person who just always cared about his players. It was a former NFL coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, R.I.P. Marty Schottenheimer, died last year, maybe 2 years ago. One of the great coaches of the 90s, 80s, brought Chiefs football back to Kansas City. And one thing he always preached on was Raider Week. Raider Week. Marty Schottenheimer had a dominant record versus the Oakland Raiders. I think in his 10-plus years with the Chiefs, he only lost the Raiders maybe 2-3 times. Could be more than that. But I know in a span of a couple years, 5-6 years, he did not lose to the Raiders. That's one thing I had to come on here and honor the late, great Marty Schottenheimer, is he preached, we do not lose to the Raiders. And there was a part of that crowd who was upset with that call. I know Marty was damn sure looking down from heaven, saying, beat the Raiders. He was smiling. He had an old quote back in the day where it was, if you are close with the Raiders long enough in a game, the Raiders are going to end up screwing it up or messing it up, whatever it was. I can't remember. I know they talked about this on Arrowhead Addict. That's another good plug, you guys. That's a good plug you guys should go listen to. But they're basically saying that was Marty Schottenheimer's quote. If you stay with the Raiders long enough, they're going to end up screwing it up and you'll win anyway. And I loved Marty Schottenheimer's hate for the Las Vegas Raiders, then the Oakland Raiders, Los Angeles Raiders, but the Las Vegas Raiders. So shout out to Marty Schottenheimer. And I feel like a piece of Marty Schottenheimer was in that game, late in the game, when the defense needed to make a plays at times. He was there hooting and hollering from heaven. So R.I.P. Marty Schottenheimer, had to give a shout out to you. You're a legend. Rest in peace, Marty. One last thing I want to talk about before we get into the game balls and before we talk about the players of the game is some of the decision making from the Las Vegas Raiders. Going for 2 instead of tying the game, and that may have been an analytics thing or whatever the hell you want to call it. Josh McDaniels, tie the game. Tie the damn game. And you can say, oh, if we tie it, the Chiefs, they could go down and score. Yeah, but you have to get a stop anyway because there was 3 minutes left, and the Chiefs were going to get the ball any damn way. Kick the PAT. Kick the damn PAT and tie the game. We saw some stupidness from Josh McDaniels. I should be calling him Josh McDonald's. Back in Denver when he benched players versus the Kansas City Chiefs when he needed a win to get into the playoffs. Just stupidity from the Las Vegas Raiders. And I have a lot of Raiders fans in my DMs talking about refs. No. You're up 17-0. There's no excuse. So I just had to call out Josh McDaniels and the stupidity on that 2-point conversion. Tie the ball game, play defense, hopefully get the ball back, and win the game if you're the Las Vegas Raiders. But you can't do that. Because you're the Raiders. You're going to screw it up. And the Raiders, they're not looking like they're going to make the playoffs. I don't see it happening. They're 1-4. They're it's a long shot for the Las Vegas Raiders to make the playoffs. And another thing I want to get into real quick, I promise we're going to do the game balls, is Harrison Butker Whatever you got to do, icy out. Maybe we need to get Shaq down there to give him some icy out on that ankle. We got to get Harrison Butker back. Matthew Wright, yes, you did get the Chiefs record for longest field goal, but the Kansas City Chiefs desperately need Harrison Butker back. One of the great kickers in the National Football League in Kansas City history needs to get back on the field for the Kansas City Chiefs. So Harrison Butker, if you're hearing this, I hope you heal up and get back on the Chiefs football field very, very soon. All right, everybody, we're going to get into the game balls. The game balls. One offense, one defense, and one rookie. So, the offensive player, big shocker, is going to be Travis Kelce. 4 touchdowns, only 25 yards, 4 touchdowns. Absolute beast. Absolute beast. So we don't got to talk about it too much. Travis Kelce, you get week number 5's game ball. So you will be the game ball of the week. 4 touchdowns, Travis Kelce. Congratulations, man. Well, George Karlaftis got the game ball for the rookie defensive side of the ball. Now we're going to go to just the defensive side of the ball. So we need somebody that was an absolute game wrecker in this game, and I'm going to give it to my man. Just the boom maker himself. Nick the Bolt Bolton. He may be the best linebacker in the league, and you can quote me on that. Nick Bolton's everywhere on the field, even though, yes, Josh Jacobs did go over 150 yards, but Nick Bolton doesn't let anything get past him. He reminds me so much of Derek Johnson back there. Nick Bolton, an absolute freak on defense, lighting plays up. Love Nick Bolton. Nicky B, congratulations. You get the defense side of the ball. You played absolutely phenomenal. Keep it up, Nick Bolton, because when Willie Gay comes back, look out. Nick Bolton's going to have a big game versus Josh Allen, and I think he will. So Josh Allen, look out for Nicky B back there. All right, everybody. We covered everything on today's video. Make sure you like, share, and, of course, you subscribe and hit that notification bell. We will be giving away a Patrick Mahomes black jersey when we hit 50 subscribers. So make sure you guys subscribe and share, and go follow us on social media. Of course, it'll be at the end of the video. TikTok, Instagram, you guys know what to do. And make sure you guys go check out Jaden's jerseys as well. That'll cover all of your sports apparel needs at Jaden's jerseys. Hats, jackets, anything you need at Jaden's jerseys, you will find it. All right, guys, we will see you on Friday to see the Buffalo Bills and the matchup of the week, Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe and the notification bell to see our videos each week.